your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to you on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart, powered by 365 Sports. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Here we are back in the home studio, just north of Boston, and coming down from the high of last night. What a night it was last night at the Blackmore Bar and Kitchen in Charlestown, right before that Bruins win. Big win for the Bruins, by the way, against Columbus. Make that 2-point gap a 4-point gap and stay in the second wild card spot. Impressive. And a night where they didn't play all that well in the first period. and went into the room 1-1, and then had it at 3-1 with 6 minutes left in the third period for a game. They were outshot, somewhat outplayed. I would have said Columbus was the better team, but as Nathan McKinnon says, I'll let you be the judge of that. But what a moment we had last night. First ever live remote for the Wicked Boston show, and it was fantastic. So shout out to everyone at the Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Man, that place got packed by the end of our show there. I think next time we might even do a little 5:30 to 6:30. Get it at its peak next time that we go there. And there will be a next time because Stephanie Beatty is one of the absolute best behind the scenes here for 365 Rogue Media. Man, she is pulling the strings and absolutely killing it. She's the one that got us that live show. So thank you to Stephanie and thank you to the great people at the Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. 34 draft beers, y'all. Good stuff. The food looked amazing. I only got a couple of nibbles of one thing. It was the pretzel, which was fantastic. They gave me a little sampler of it. But fantastic food. It's right across the street from the Garden, man. You got cheap parking right there, and you just walk over. When I was leaving, there was still a bunch of people taking advantage of the parking there. So a great spot before and after your Garden events. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the Celtics and what's going on there with Jayson Tatum. Is this the week, next week, that he's finally coming back to the team? And what I want to really dive into is what is the holdup here and why hasn't there been a commitment to it? I'm sympathetic to the injury here, but I do want to get into that. We will also have Mike Debate of Sports Illustrated, our Patriots expert, joining us just a couple minutes here. In just a couple minutes, he will be joining us to talk about what the big offseason moves to the Patriots are going to be. I think we now need to question, is this a spring where they splash a lot of cash for the second year in a row? What is the biggest need for this team? What can they attack in the draft versus what can they get in free agency? And then we will have the update on the Leafs because this team's amazing. They just keep losing. And I think the Leafs might be too bad for the Bruins' own good because it's a top 5 protected pick. Are they playing poorly enough that it's going to cost the Bruins? Or do the Leafs just not know what the hell they're doing? As George Costanza's dad, Frank, would say. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart. Let's start with the Celtics. And specifically, let's start with Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum's got a birthday next week. Remember, that was the rumor. Like, ooh, what if he wants to come back on his birthday? His 20th birthday. Boy, wouldn't that be a moment? Wouldn't that bring the house down? And the closer we get to it, and after the very positive report we got from Shams Charania yesterday about how he is scrimmaging 5-on-5 full speed, the question is once again entering my mind. When is this? Why haven't we heard any part of a timetable here? Why is there so much vagueness behind whether Jayson Tatum will come back or not? Because all signs of the last, 3-4 weeks here, all those signs have pointed to, yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back this year. He is going to be a part of this team. That's just, with basically the rehab assignment in Maine. They bring down the whole Maine Celtics during the All-Star break, the NBA All-Star break, to come and scrimmage with him. He's doing 1-on-1s. He's doing 3-on-3s. He's now doing 5-on-5s. He's doing 5-on-5s with the Celtics. Like, shouldn't we be saying, yeah, barring a setback, Jayson Tatum's going to come back. We're waiting for the right moment to bring him in. Instead, we're not getting answers from anybody. It is completely on Jayson Tatum's plate here. And I hate what I'm about to say. I hate it. I do. Because very rarely do I agree with this host or this show. But I think Mike Felger's onto something here. Sorry. But, I don't need the pageantry of it. As a Celtics fan and someone who follows this team inside and out, who's a big Jayson Tatum fan, and I think all Celtics fans will agree with this, it's like, we don't care if it's a home game or a road game. Don't care if it's flexed in the national TV. Don't care if it's on his birthday. Don't care if there's a documentary miniseries to go along with it. Don't care what he's necessarily saying on a podcast. We just want the dude playing for the Celtics because he would be a huge addition to the team as they are about to go on a playoff run. Like, you've got this luxury, potentially, that no other team has. No other team in the NBA is adding a top 5 player in the league right before the postseason. And yet we got all this other stuff to go with it. Mini-series, birthday, home game. Like, would any Celtics fan have cared if Jayson Tatum's first game back was in Denver rather than Boston, or Phoenix rather than Boston? Like, no, man. We don't need a moment like that as much as we need a moment like, I don't know, winning a championship. And what I think this comes down to is, from all that we have seen in the buildup of this, and again, the scrimmages and all that, it's apparent that Jayson Tatum is very, very close to being physically ready, if not completely physically ready to come back. What I think the holdup is with the Celtics and Jayson Tatum at this point is that I don't know if he's mentally ready. And I do have some sympathy to that, right? I've never gone through an injury like this or something that was out of my control that could have ended my career, right, in the prime of it. If you think I've gotten to the prime of it. I hope not. But like Jayson Tatum, like, this is not like a nailed on 100% you come back and you're just a top 5 player in the NBA. And putting this all on Tatum's plate is probably why we are here at this point right now. I don't know that any team has the balls to do this, but I think it would actually help Tatum if someone, Brad Stevens or Joe Mazzulla, said, hey, we're doing 5-on-5 scrimmages for you. Unless you roll your ankle or you suffer a major setback here, you are coming back in the month of March. We need that. If you're healthy, we need that for our team. We can't have a guy who's top 5 in the NBA who is healthy and physically able to play, not play because you're saving yourself for next year. Like, as much as we would like for that to be the way that it is, that's not the way that it is. But it appears to me the Celtics, who's a franchise that really can't do anything wrong the last couple of years here, it seems like the route they are taking is leaving it all to Jayson. Seeing whether he is mentally ready to go and ready to go through those hurdles. And I understand the Celtics side of it in terms of like, hey, here's a guy who went through this potentially career-threatening injury, and if he's not mentally 100% there, we're not going to get 100% of Jayson Tatum. We're not going to get 80% of Jayson Tatum. We're not going to get a top 5 player in the league if he's afraid to go to the basket, for example. Or, if he's going under a screen rather than over a screen because he's worried about the lateral movement on, in his lower extremities and that Achilles. If he's going to be worried about that, then yeah, it's probably not great for the Celtics to bring him back. But what's also not great for the Celtics is this Ross Rachel thing. Will they, won't they? Will he, won't he? I think Jayson Tatum's going to play again this season. I do think that. I am confident that he's going to play this season. But if you're one of the Celtics players who they're rolling just fine right now, even though they took one on the chin against Denver the other night, at the end of a long road trip, they're probably thinking, man, can we get some clarity here? Can we get this guy back? Like, what are we rolling with as we are, a month and a half from the postseason? And I think for us, the fans, it's like, again, we don't need the documentary. We don't need the first walk out of the tunnel. Like, that's nice for, the NBA films at the end of the season. But as long as you're here, the Celtics get better. How much better? I think is a fascinating question. Like, how much better do they get with this Tatum out here? Like, the Celtics wanted to have him back at some point this season, or else they wouldn't have put him into Achilles surgery the next day and tweeted about how they put him into Achilles surgery the next day. That doesn't typically happen. You're usually waiting a couple of weeks before you have that surgery, but they diagnosed it right away. I think he did it in New York. Like I don't even think they left town, and they said, get it done. So clearly they want him to play here. And I am intrigued by, and maybe this is why I want him on the court again so badly. What are you going to get out of him? Does he ruin the flow of the offense with Jaylen Brown? Because they're two different offenses, even though they've both been very effective. His biggest strength and where he could really help this team is guarding a couple of different positions. Can he guard a couple of different positions as effectively when he's coming off an Achilles tear, 9 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it was? It's May. It's 10 months ago, almost. Can you still get that effectiveness? How much better does that make the Celtics going into this stretch run and potentially challenging for the Eastern Conference crown? And I hate that, because I think, Felger blew it out of proportion. Like, he thinks Jayson Tatum's this big baby. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do understand the point of, like, can we stop with all the exhausting points of this? Is he coming back or is he not? We're sick of the kind of speculation here. If he's ready to go, we'd love to see him out on the floor. Here's what Shams Charania had to say. Charania? He said, I'm told Jayson Tatum is, I can't play the video, ESPN property. He says, I'm told Jayson Tatum is a full go in 5-on-5 scrimmages with the Celtics. And right now it's about him putting together a number of practices and scrimmages to build up his conditioning and increase the strength in both of his calves. Obviously, that's why he's been doing it the last couple of weeks, right? There's nothing that's going to get him to game speed. We know that at any level of sports, really. There's nothing that gets you to that, especially when you're about to hop into a playoff chase here, the end of the season. Shams went on to say, an essential element right now around Jayson Tatum is the hurdle of being 100% mentally ready, 100% confidence in that right leg. Because the common theme from people close to Tatum has been getting him out there and returning to action is when, quote, JT feels like JT. So again, I think that's bigger than the physical aspect of it at this point. If he's doing 5-on-5 with a couple of different teams, including the Boston Celtics, he's probably okay to go out there. And Shams goes on to say, and so the Celtics will take Tatum's lead. He's in the driver's seat. He's going to be the one making the decision. The team has not put any pressure on him. Think about it, guys, he says to the NBA Countdown crew. He's 9 months post-Achilles surgery, and he's going full 5-on-5. Throughout all this for months, Tatum has just wanted to get to this point in March where he's able to make a decision on whether he can play or not. Doctors, team officials, his side, and then Tatum himself will get in a room eventually and make a decision about whether he will be able to play or not this season. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm wondering, does that happen in other sports where it is fully on the player? Like, we're not talking about a guy. We're not talking about Tim Duncan as like a 38-year-old, your legacy cemented and everything. We're talking about a guy who is the best player on your team and he's in his prime. And he's getting paid $50 million a year. Like, does that happen in other sports where you're like, okay, when you're ready, everything else be damned? Like, when you're mentally ready, let us know when you can play. Because it feels like in other sports, it's like the doctor will tell you when you can play. But that's the NBA for you, I guess. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you getting tired of waiting on Jayson Tatum's decision? It's not that, like, I get it. It's a big decision. But it's just like, can we get something concrete here instead of all this speculation? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart. When we come back, we're going to take a short little break, 2 minutes. When we come back, we're going to get into the Patriots talk. I want to talk about A.J. Brown. I want to talk about Mike Evans. I want to talk about, is that even the position that the Patriots should be going after? What is the best way to help Drake Maye? We've got our Patriots expert, Mike DeBate of Sports Illustrated, joining us next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
Back here on the Wicked Boston Show, 365 Sports, your host Cam Stuart, Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air every weekday on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Man, our next guest is a guy we don't keep waiting, okay? It is full Patriots offseason mode, and how in the heck is this team going to help Drake Maye to get a better roster and get back to a Super Bowl in the next year or two? That is a question for our Patriots expert, Sports Illustrated's Mike DeBate. Mike was ready the other day, by the way, folks. Mike was ready to go. I kind of last second put a call into him, and he was ready, and I missed it 45 minutes before the show. So Mike, a loyal soldier to us and knowing this team inside and out, Mike, always appreciate you and appreciate how quickly you have had to turn the corner as well from Super Bowl to off season. Man, you forget it used to be such a big thing, but man, this is 365 Sports and it's 365 days a year in the NFL, man.
It truly is. I mean, you go from one extreme to another. All of a sudden, you're in San Francisco and Santa Clara and you're getting ready for the Super Bowl, and a little bit of a letdown at the end of that game, and then you automatically turn it right around, and all of a sudden you're Indianapolis, you're talking shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo's. It's all set for the NFL Combine, and the NFL free agency is very fast approaching on March 9th. Well, the 11th technically is the start of the NFL league year, but we all know that the legal tampering period starts on March 9th. So everything is really kind of progressing along. And we heard Mike Vrabel say the other day that he expects the team back and start off-season workouts on April 20th. It's not that far away, believe me. So no days off in the NFL because you've got the draft right after that. Yeah, just keep going. One after another. No offseason in the NFL.
No rest for the wicked, man. No rest. And it is like crazy to put it into perspective. Again, we used to see it all the time, but you've got, Vrabel and Elliott Wolf here, and days after their team goes to the Super Bowl, from 1 week to the next, you're thinking man, what a run this is on. We can finish this. Think of what we could do if, for Vrabel's legacy, for Drake Maye's, whatever. And then a week later, you're like, is the roster good enough at all? Do we need to retool this thing? And let's actually start there with that question, because rebuild is strong. Okay. But we talked about it all season. They're ahead of schedule. So they're still kind of in a rebuild, so to speak. But after that loss in the Super Bowl and seeing, where this roster is at, where they need improvements, is this still a retool period? Like, do you think we will see significant changes to the roster going into 2026, a year after playing in the Super Bowl?
I don't necessarily know if I'd use the term retool. I have been using the term remodel a lot more. And I think that's kind of where the Patriots are headed. I think they realize there's still positions of need, and I'm sure we're going to get into those in just a few seconds. But I think they also realize that there's a good core here. There's a really good nucleus to build on. Obviously, the coaching has been solid on this team. A few tweaks to the coaching staff in the offseason thus far, with Zach Core finally getting the nod as the defensive coordinator. I'm so glad to see Terrell Williams continue to play a role on this defensive staff. He'll have a high-ranking position. We don't have a title on him yet, but Mike has indicated that he will be an integral part in crafting the defense moving forward. And, of course, you got Josh McDaniels, good old reliable, in the seat at offensive coordinator. The top of the heap, Mike Vrabel, you can't get much better than that in terms of head coach. So the Patriots have a strong, solid coaching staff to build on, but they've also got Drake Maye as their quarterback, and he will be their cornerstone for a number of years, assuming that some of the reports out there are correct. And from what I'm hearing, I know the Patriots are keeping a very sharp eye on Christian Gonzalez. They want to get him locked up. They want him to be the long-term anchor in this defense and the guy that they can count on. So he'll be someone that'll help to be able to anchor both sides of the ball, where you're talking Gonzalez on defense and May on offense. But I think that the Patriots realize that there are some players they want to hold on to, but also that there are upgrades needed. And there are a few positions of need that they've already tipped their hand on in terms of who they're going to be looking at, not just at the Combine this week, but also in free agency.
Yeah. And this comes back to Drake Maye. What I think is so funny, I guess, the narrative about Drake Maye after the Super Bowl, oh, look how awful he was in that game. And, these guys, they lose the first time and they never go back. And maybe we overrated Drake Maye because of the schedule. And I look at it and I'm like, maybe I'm just a homer here, but I'm looking at it the opposite way. When you look at this roster, like, we know in New England, we know what a Super Bowl team looks like. Okay. Like, all due respect, that's not a Super Bowl team. They did a great job to get there. I don't want to take anything away from them. And so I look at it as like Drake Maye elevating a roster, saying like, this of course is our cornerstone. Like, look at what this guy did with this receiving core and this offensive line and kind of major holes on the team for a Super Bowl team. And so I guess when we look at positions of need here, Mike, I'll frame the question this way. Is when you look at the positions of need that they can attack in the draft and in free agency, is the biggest point of emphasis in the offseason getting help for Drake Maye, however that looks, or is it just biggest need for the team as a whole?
That's a really good question, because I think you can go both ways on that. In my opinion, if I were Elliott Wolf, if I were Mike Vrabel, Ryan Cowden, and I were in those meetings, the way I'd attack it is I'd try to look for help on the defensive side of the ball through the draft, and I would look for veteran help for Drake Maye via free agency or via trade. That's how I would break that down, simply because you look at what's going to work out on the offensive side of the ball. Not a very robust wide receiver class when it comes to free agency, but it's a deep class when it comes to the draft. So do you wait to try to draft a wide receiver for the future in later rounds and focus more on what is a very talent heavy, top heavy draft when it comes to edge rush? And I think that's where the Patriots may be looking. There are a lot of talented tight ends in this draft, and I know the Patriots are doing their due diligence on a lot of the names that we're seeing work out on Thursday and on Friday and going into the weekend. They're going to have their sharp eye focused on those positions, but a lot of buzz surrounding the pass catchers. I know there's a couple of very high-profile names that are being bandied about. We're going to talk about those in just a moment, I'm sure. But I wouldn't also count out the fact that the Patriots may look for some veteran help on the offensive line. Maybe they draft a subsequent offensive lineman, a young lineman that can be an heir apparent to a Morgan Moses, down the line. That could be definitely a possibility. They've got an infusion of youth on the left side, and from what Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff is saying, those guys aren't going anywhere. So at this point, what I would look for if I'm the New England Patriots is finding that balance between savvy veterans that help move this team forward and also making sure that you're continuing to build for the future. That's something that the one and done Super Bowl losing teams never really did an adequate job with. They never replenished what was there, and they never built upon the foundation that they had. The Patriots are going to really, I think, be as successful as they can be because of the decisions that are made in the front office this time around. This is a very big offseason for Mike Vrabel and his staff, and also Elliott Wolf and his staff. They've got to press the right buttons here because they could either regress or progress based on the personnel that they put in place in 2026.
And I think the kind of poster child of what you were just talking about right now is Washington.
Right.
You know, they go to the NFC Championship game, Jaden Daniels year one, after a spring spending on veterans. They kind of did some more of that last year. They kind of doubled down on it. And, you know, Daniels gets hurt. The team is slow. They're not even really in the playoff picture at all. They obviously don't make the playoffs. So you think that's kind of the warning sign for this team?
Yeah, I think they're probably looking at that. I think they're probably looking at a lot of teams, even in the past, that have had success and weren't able to recapture or recreate the type of success they had in a magical season where all the planets seemingly aligned. The schedule was very favorable. There's a lot right now that Patriots critics could point to if this team falters coming out of the break. If they're going to silence that, even the internal types of demons that can haunt these teams after losing the way they did in the Super Bowl, of saying, well, maybe we were a little bit fortunate, or maybe we did overachieve. If they come out strong, even if they lose a couple of games early on, but they're very competitive against big-time tough teams, that's going to give them the motivation to keep moving forward, because they're going to know they belong where they are, and they need to keep the foot on the accelerator to fend off, especially a team like Buffalo, who is going to be gunning for, quote unquote, their AFC East championship, which we all know it really belongs in Foxborough anyway. It's back home where it belongs now, but Western New York, they don't feel that way. They want it back. So they're going to be chasing after. And now you're looking at Patrick Mahomes getting healthy and coming back, and maybe a healthy Cincinnati Bengals team led by Joe Burrow, maybe a rejuvenated Baltimore Ravens team with Lamar Jackson at the helm. Now it's going to be, okay, can the Patriots hang with the big dogs in the AFC? I believe they can, but they got to prove it on the field. And it really comes from what they're going to do to upgrade the successes that they had in 2025.
You talk big dogs. I want to talk big names here. All right. You know, we hear it with every young quarterback. He needs that big playmaking, take the top off the defense, X receiver. You can go to him on third down. You can go to him in the red zone. Who's the playmaker for quarterback X, right? And so now the talks, you know, after Stephon Diggs has a good year, no guarantee that he's going to be there next year with kind of the stuff off the field, the opt-outs in his contract. So looking at the big name that we've heard, we'll stick with this one first, A.J. Brown. Grew up a Patriots fan, played for Vrabel, clearly really likes Vrabel, gave a little bit of a wink to Gronk and Edelman on the podcast the other day. What is the likelihood the Patriots would make a trade for A.J. Brown? And are there enough red flags for you there, seeing how Brown handled this last season in Philadelphia?
Well, do I think the Patriots would love to have A.J. Brown in the fold and love to pair him along with Drake Maye, and maybe even, dare I say, pair him alongside Stephon Diggs and have a very formidable, pass-catching unit in New England? Yeah, they would absolutely love to do it, but there are logistical problems that exist that have to be ironed out in order to do that. First of all, Howie Roseman is going to be someone who is going to look for a great amount in return. I know he said he's open to it. Some people believe that maybe he's forced his hand a little bit or maybe weakened his negotiation position, but Howie is not stupid. He's been one of the league's best executives in the course of the last few years because he knows how to leverage his talent on his team and knows what to do in order to be able to maximize the return on investment. So is that going to mean that the Patriots have to part with a first rounder, maybe multiple first rounders, maybe a bona fide NFL player going back to Philly as a result of that deal? That's all things that the Patriots have to work out. If they find the asking price to their liking, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. You need to bring a guy like this in. He's 28 years old, topped 1,000 yards receiving in 6 of his 7 NFL seasons. A lot of people look at it and say, well, he had a little bit of an off year last year. I don't see that. 78 catches, 1,003 yards. This kid definitely has the pedigree to be a top flight receiver, and you put him in an environment where he's always wanted to play, he's going to be motivated without any question. So do the Patriots go and pursue someone like A.J. Brown? They've got the money to do it. You got to be careful not to handcuff yourself, because you do have a number of big contract extensions coming. And in a couple of years, they're going to be talking about Drake Maye's contract extension. So you need to be very mindful. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to be very mindful of that moving forward. I know a lot of people love to believe that the cap is a myth. I can assure you, my good friend Miguel Benzan has done extensive work on this for a number of years. The cap is not fake, folks. It is a situation that all teams have to negotiate and maneuver around. So in that regard, yeah, Brown is someone I would love to see come to New England, but the price has got to be right. And then you figure out what you're going to have to do with Diggs. Obviously, if the Patriots do release Diggs or they cut him prior to June 1st, they could be coming into $16.8 million. That's a big savings that New England could invest into the team. But if they're not successful in being able to pry A.J. Brown away, Patriots know that they've got a valuable commodity there that has a good working relationship with Drake Maye. So there's a lot to consider right now if you're the New England Patriots. But the Pats feel confident that they can go into this and potentially maybe tip the scales a little in their favor to get Diggs to renegotiate his deal. If he can do that, then all of a sudden that dream of pairing A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs comes together maybe a little bit easier than a lot of people thought. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of what the Patriots can do right now.
Man, Mike, I kind of like that last one there. I'd like that. Diggs and Brown together. There's gonna be some diva, but that's what you get with big time receivers. And I guess I should have started with this, but like looking at that narrative, right? The young quarterback needs the big playmaking receiver. With what you know, and you know quite a lot about this Patriots team, the one we just saw go to the Super Bowl. If you had to rank, like, what are the best ways to help Drake Maye this offseason, be it the draft, be it free agency, whatever, where would wide receiver fall? You know, they had in and out in the run game. You know, it was good at times, it's not good at times. Offensive line wasn't great really at any point, serviceable for a while. So where do you rank, a big play receiver on that board?
Below the offensive line. I still think that's a need. And look, I am of the ilk that I think the Patriots are making the right move and leaving Will Campbell where he is. I would be all for a move inside for Jared Wilson if they believe that he's the center of the future and they decide that by cutting Garrett Bradbury that they could, recoup a little bit of salary cap relief and trying to move forward in that regard. If they want to keep Bradbury in place, he had a tremendous year. One of the real high character guys on this roster. I would hate to see Garrett go from a personal standpoint because I think he's been a tremendous addition to this team, but I understand the business aspect of it. I think they've got two bona fide studs for the future in Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, depending on how they shake out. But Morgan Moses right now looks to be someone that should be back. A lot of speculation heading into Indianapolis that he might be nearing retirement. Doesn't sound like that's the case. Elliot Wolf, Mike Vrabel kind of shooting that down and saying, we expect him back. So now what do? Do you draft someone that could be your future right tackle? Michael Wenu is someone who is aging by the year. I still think your bona fide best lineman right now. I wouldn't touch a Wenu, but in another year and a half, 2 years, you may feel differently. So the Patriots have to keep that cupboard restocked. It's obvious that they need some help blocking on the left side. They struggled this year. Is it going to be something that they can cure with going back to the drawing board with additional hard coaching and really getting both Campbell and Wilson to where they need to be? The jury is still out on that, but I still think they need bodies there, especially if someone like a Vidarian Lowe, who is headed for free agency and could be headed for greener pastures based on the season that he had when Will Campbell went out, you need to replace that. And you need to make sure that the body doing that is very competent. So without the protection, Drake Maye is not going to be able to rise to the occasion. We all saw in the playoffs how compromised pressure can lead to difficulty for this kid. If they're going to move him forward, they got to make sure he's protected up front. That's priority one to me. And then finding a pass catcher that can, quote unquote, take the top off the defense. That to me is a second. And then you're also looking at tight end as a possible, position of need as well.
So that said, if you're looking at, possibly a cheaper option than what you'd have to give up and pay for A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, is that name coming across your board?
Yeah, Mike Evans is definitely coming across my board. And I know a lot of people are looking at this and saying, okay, well, you know what? This could end up being a possibility. I know Evans was decimated by injury, especially in 2025. That's always a concern. 30 catches, 368 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's a career low. But one thing that I've learned about players is when they're motivated to prove that they still got that stuff left in the basement, Cam, they're going to come out and they're going to ball out. And you may see Mike Evans, if he's completely healthy, be motivated to do that. 11 seasons in a row, he topped 1,000 yards, and he did not do that this year. And that is not sitting well with him, according to the people I talked to close to the Evans camp. So when he's healthy, one of the more productive receivers in this league, I think that the Patriots could look for him as that outside target that Drake Maye needs. If they are unsuccessful in luring A.J. Brown here via trade, yeah, I think they do look at Evans as someone that could come in. And maybe because of the season that he had, that asking price or that price tag might be a little more to their liking at this point.
Yeah. All right, Mike, last thing for you. And this is something that, I'm going to ask you a bunch in the next 2 months, okay? So you don't have to be married to your answer right now, but I'm loving, what you've been getting out of the combine and how you're ranking, these needs for the Patriots in the offseason. If you're making the first round pick 31 tomorrow, and you're looking at tight end, edge rusher, offensive line, where do you I know it has to do with the board and everything, but if you had the Patriots first pick, what are you addressing?
I'm going to the edge rush, and that's just me. I think that right now, with the way this team is built and how this team is built, especially if they're poised to lose K'Lavon Chaisson via free agency, which I don't have any inside information that they are, but if that is going to be a difficulty, I think his asking price could be a little beyond what the Patriots may be able to be willing to pay, especially if he hits the open market. That's an area of need that I think they need. And this is a very deep class where I think they could end up snagging someone in the end part of the round of round one, where they could definitely be able to upgrade and find some help there. Obviously, I think the guy that everybody's keeping their eye on and that they want to watch is Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. This kid has all the tools, all the pieces necessary to be able to not only be a star here in this on this team, but a star in the league. And he's got the length, he's got the athleticism, and he's got the ability to play in big games that I know New England would be looking for. So I think in a lot of ways, the Patriots would be smart to use early draft capital on someone to upgrade the edge rush because of the wealth of talent that they have. There are a number of guys they could go with, but right now Howell is the guy that I would choose if I had the opportunity. The only question is, does he slip to number 31? If you really like him, do you have to trade up in order to do it? Patriots have 11 picks. They might find a team willing to bite on that might want to take a page out of Bill Belichick's, book and trade down into the second round. Maybe the Patriots can move up a little bit and get Cassius if that's a guy that they've zeroed in on. But I know they're going to be doing their due diligence this week. They've already met with a ton of defensive linemen and linebackers, guys that can play the edge. To me, that's the area that I would go for in the draft right now with their first pick in the first round.
Gosh, I love it. I love it. Just the dense amount of knowledge that Mike Debate brings to us every time he comes on from Sports Illustrated. Mike, really appreciate your time as always.
Absolutely, Cam. Always an honor and a privilege, and look forward to talking ball with you a lot more once we start getting into free agency and then turning the page in earnest to the NFL draft coming up on April 23rd.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. And it will be coming thick and fast. It definitely will be. Thanks to Mike once again. Hey, I want to know what you guys think, because this is fascinating. For a team that just went to the Super Bowl, they do have a lot of things they need to address, a lot of needs. And that doesn't mean they're tanking, but they do have a lot of needs to address. So what is the number one thing for you? Wide receiver, offensive line, pass rush? Maybe you're thinking about an extra corner in there. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you on YouTube every weekday, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is part of this great team at 365 Sports and Rogue Media. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart. When we come back, we are going to do one of our favorite exercises as Boston Bruins fans, and that's checking in on the Leafs. The Leafs suck, and that's funny, but do they suck too hard? Is their sucking going to affect the Bruins negatively? Let's talk about it next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, located in Charlestown, is the perfect spot for a bite and drink before a Bruins or Celtics game at TD Garden. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen offers 34 rotating beers, craft cocktails, and an eclectic menu of tavern favorites like burgers, sandwiches, and flatbreads. Join us for brunch every Saturday and Sunday, plus pre- and post-game garden events. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Check us out at blackmorebar.com.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on their screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Back here on the Wicked Boston Show, 365 Sports. Man, what a week it's been for this show. And by the way, it's going to be a big week next week. We are in the works. I know I've said this before, but we're in the works, setting the bar even higher and getting the biggest name guest, I'll say, biggest name guest that we have ever had here on the history of the Wicked Boston Show, the Cam Show, before that. But that's going to be some big stuff next week. A lot of hockey next week. That's what we're going to talk about right now. But a ton of hockey next week because we've got the trade deadline and the Bruins are in this weird in-between spot. Like, I know a lot of fans are saying how they should invest in this team. And I'm not going to be mad if they do, but like, I don't know how much you invest in this team. And it's a thought I shared yesterday, and I'll share more at the beginning of next week. But it's like, when you look at the two things the Bruins really need, I just don't know that you get these things at the trade deadline. Like, the trade deadline is for depth purposes, right? Or one piece that's going to get you over the top, right? Like, I think back to 2023, when they were the best team in hockey, they needed an extra defenseman. They went out, got Dmitry Orlov. They needed a little muscle on the fourth line, Garnet Hathaway, and they needed a depth, middle six winger who could play on the power play. And that was Tyler Bertuzzi. And you can do that when you're the best team in the league and you can send some first round picks out. I don't know that the Bruins are there yet. And so what they need is a top four right shot defenseman and a legit scoring winger. those guys are going to cost a lot at the deadline, way more than they will in the summer even. So I don't know. We'll talk more about it next week. We'll probably have a special show on Friday. I want to talk more about it on Monday as well. But this is about the Leafs. This is about the Leafs. Man. The Toronto Maple Leafs, or as we call them in Boston, the gift that just keeps on giving. Oh, they are fun. They are fun, especially when you have their first-round pick. But is it getting too close for comfort? The Leafs have arguably the toughest back-to-back of any team in the league coming off the Olympic break. They go to Tampa, and then they go to Florida right afterwards. And so far, not so good. They're 0-2 and -6 in those two games. They lose to Tampa 4-2 and then get crushed 5-1 by the Panthers, who were up 3-0 at the end of the first period and went into that game lower than the Leafs in the standings. But shoot, man, you wouldn't know it because they ran the Leafs right out of the building. And I thought it was so funny because I was watching this game. I had the Bruins Blue Jackets and I had the Leafs Panthers on the other screen. And they were hyping it up on Sportsnet as like two teams in the Atlantic, full of talent and battling for the playoffs. Two teams that need to get into playoff position on a collision course. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is right. Because while I don't know that either of these teams is going to make the playoffs, but I'm sure as heck a lot more confident in the Cats getting there than I am about the Leafs. And the Panthers are not as healthy as the Leafs are. You know, you want to talk about a team that's battling injury problems, it's the Panthers. It's not Toronto. And the Panthers showed you why they were the better team last night. You know, they came out, Pistons firing in the first period. They played physical. They played on the edge. They stood up for their guys. They rallied around each other. That's a team that has all the excuses that Toronto thinks they have with injuries and how many games they've played and just overall being tuckered out. Like the Panthers actually have those excuses. The Leafs don't. And we're talking about like a disaster with this Leafs team. I think they're much closer to disaster than they are to the playoffs, which, as funny as it is for the Bruins, you're on pins and needles a little bit. That's a top 5 protected. And while that was silly at the time, the way the ping pong balls go, they could be in the top 5. Right now, they're the 11th best, worst team in the league. They'd be slotted to pick 11th, but also obviously we know that there is a lottery to it, but they're sinking like a stone. They were 13th going out of the Olympic break. Now they're 11th, and you're like, this could get worse before it gets better for the Leafs. They're going to need to get rid of McCabe because it doesn't look like they're going to re-sign him. But like what really sticks out to me about this team, more so than how bad they are defensively, how mentally weak they are, is I don't know if the Leafs know where they're at right now. It's like a kind of before the devil knows you're dead situation. I don't know if the Leafs know how bad they are because they continue to sit the only prospect they have. They won't let Easton Cowan play. They just put him up on the 9th floor every night. And they continue to play the veterans because they feel they're in a playoff push and that they can't abandon this year, even though they don't have their first round pick unless they pick in the top 5. They can't abandon this. So I think they're going to buy next Friday, which is crazy. This is not too dissimilar to a spot that the Bruins were in last year. And the Leafs will not take a page out of Don Sweeney's book, even though they should. Because here the Bruins are a year later, 8 points ahead of Toronto, looking down at them in the standings and probably going to the playoffs. And being ahead of schedule. And having great contributions from a rookie who just so happened to be a Leafs prospect. And possibly having 2 picks between 10 and 20 this year in the NHL draft. Because one of them is the Leafs pick. And so I don't know that Toronto knows what they should be doing. Because in reality, as much as it might suck for that market and that fan base and that GM, they should probably punt this season. You've got your core guys in there anyway, right? No more Marner, and you definitely need to get better defensively and need a better goaltender. But, like, you've got your Matthews, you've got Tavares for a little longer, you've got Nyes locked down, you've got Nylander locked down. In the grand scheme of things, this year might not mean anything if you guys play your cards right. But guess what? They haven't played their cards right in 50 years, almost 60 years. They haven't played their cards right. So they're going to buy at this trade deadline, which is going to be even better for the Bruins because I don't think it's going to make them that much better. And if anything, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And if anything, it's going to take them farther away from potentially having a top 5 pick. Like if the Bruins get the 10th pick out of this, they're like, pig in excrement. They're like, we'll take that. Just not 5. Oh, it would be so Leafs if they get 6th. Oh, it would be so Leafs, man. And this team is brutal. It's so funny to watch. If you're not a Leafs fan and you don't like the Leafs, but they are Swiss cheese. They have no edge to them whatsoever. Okay, they're not tough to play against, and nobody is intimidated playing against them. Nobody. Certainly not the Panthers. I mean, they just waltzed right through them. There's no one that is worried about this team, and they weren't worried to begin with, to be honest with you. They're 8 points behind the Bruins, so they're 8 points behind a playoff spot. They've given up the second most goals in the league and the most shots against, and you see it when you watch the Bruins play them at least. I mean, there are runways out there for guys to skate in. The hockey writers have them as the 24th best D-core in the NHL. 24th. And they might be running their captain right out of town. They already ran, a top 5 pick out of town in Mitch Marner because it's such a gauntlet to play there. It sucks to play there. But I'm sure most of you hockey fans saw the opinion in the Toronto Star this week. That was written by Damian Cox. Austin Matthews made his choice, seemingly putting Trump ahead of the Leafs and the playoffs. They are ripping this guy. It was funny to listen to JD Bunkus, the guy who had the most butthurt tweet of all time after Canada lost the gold. He was the one on Leafs Talk yesterday talking about how bad this team is and how it's, like going into battle to have to watch this team play. Oh, I mean, just the arrogance in this column is so great for us. Not even like, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not at all. But it's so funny because you just see the writing on the wall again. That's why these guys are signing short-term contracts. Guys like McDavid, guys like, Matthews, who's got 2 years left. Damian Cox writes, I'll just do a little bit of this. 1C clearly trumps the other for Austin Matthews. And because of that, a segment of Maple Leafs fans would celebrate today if the Leafs took away Matthews' captaincy and returned it to John Tavares. The ghost of Conn Smythe would surely applaud. Simultaneously being captain of the Leafs and the United States men's Olympics team was always going to be a tricky balancing act for Matthews, particularly at a time when U.S. President Donald Trump never tires of threatening Canada with becoming the 51st state. Like, I'm not a Trump guy at all. Think he's a dipshit. But, like, when was the last time he said that? Has it been a year since he said that? Like, obviously, that wasn't going to happen anyway, but I digress. Matthews, it's abundantly clear, tumbled off the high wire. Yes, he succeeded as the captain of the U.S., winning the gold over Team Canada in a classic contest against Canada and Milan on Sunday, but he failed in every respect as the captain of the Leafs miserably. And it's all the same stuff. It's the greatest hits there. But this, I mean, how poetic would it be if the U.S. beating Canada to win the gold medal indirectly leads to the end of whatever championship window the Toronto Maple Leafs had, and runs Matthews out of town after they already ran Marner out of town? It would be perfect. Boston Bruins will take him. As much as I've had some problems with Matthews in the past, and I don't know that he's going to be the 70-goal guy that he was a couple years ago, based on his scoring the last season and a half, but still a hell of a player, man. He's no David Pastrnak, but he's still a hell of a player. I would take him here. But the Leafs, man, they're the gift that keeps on giving. Are they too bad? Is it getting you nervous as a Bruins fan? They might pick in the top 5. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like that video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we're coming at you every day on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. So drop a like, drop a subscribe. Find us here every weekday. It's your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart on 365 Sports. What a great week it has been. Shout out to the Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Can't wait to get back there. Shout out to Stephanie Beatty for putting that together. Shout out to Zach Burke for staying a little late yesterday to help me get that off the ground and on the air. And to you great people. We had a great crowd there, but a great crowd watching as well. We did it again on this Friday. Can't wait for next week to be even bigger. A lot of Bruins, a lot of trade deadline talk. We will, of course, have some Patriot stuff as we get closer and closer to the beginning of NFL free agency and the tampering period. And we also might have a pretty big name guest coming on the show in the middle of next week. Can't wait to share it with you guys then. We will see you on Monday for the next edition of the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stuart.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.